Hey everybody, good evening to everyone. I'm Dakita Trinae. I'm your host for this evening's E100 Women's Summit. So thank you so much to the KSU students that are here, and we have some visitors here externally that are joining us for this talk. We're going to have some good conversation around not just women's empowerment, but how do we continue to evolve and grow. I want to give a special thanks to the men of E100 North Metro Atlanta that is also partnered with the Collegiate 100 of KSU. So let's give them a round of applause. Thank you guys so much. Just a little bit about myself is that I am your sister, I'm your friend, I'm your confidant, I'm your mentor. We're going to learn a lot about just how we can continue to grow. So I just want to just take the time to just give you a little bit of history about E100. So E100, we are founded upon several pillars to where we constitute ourselves when it comes to the service that we provide for the community in the city of Atlanta. Starting off with health and wellness, education, mentorship, and economic awareness and involvement. So those are just a couple of things just so you're aware of the why and the mission that these young men do from day to day. Behind the scenes, there's always some things going when it comes to E100. In addition to that, E100 also partners with many professionals, many community members to continue to maximize opportunities to make impact. And so I'm just going to probe the question. This is Women's Empowerment Summit. This is a casual, comfortable conversation. Pretend like you're on the couch. I see we have young ladies here that their legs are crossed and they got their notebooks and they got their pens and they're ready to take notes. Understanding our why. You guys showed up this evening. You showed up. And because you showed up, that means you are pouring and investing into yourselves. And I am so grateful because you chose to sacrifice dinner, or you chose to sacrifice hanging out with friends to continue to pour into yourself. So give yourselves a round of applause for showing up. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce you to our three panelists for the evening. They are diverse from professionals in their career, in their personal lives. And I want you, those people in the audience, I want you to identify yourself with one or a couple of them when it comes to your growth, what you want to do, how you want to continue to maximize what I'll be 45 next week, next month. And I say that to let you know I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still pouring it back into myself. So you're never too young or too old to continue to grow. So our first panelist that I want you to turn your head to is Dr. Carrie Hill. Dr. Carrie Hill, will you wave your hand for me? With over 25 years of experience in community-based promotion, health promotion, K-12 education, and higher education, she brings a unique combination of expertise and passion to her leadership of the nonprofit organization She Shores, designed to transform youth mental health outcomes. Her nonprofit background includes serving as vice president and director of programs for Jane Fonda's nonprofit organization, along with other Atlanta-based organizations dedicated to reducing health disparities and empowering youth to make informed, healthy choices. Carrie is a public health professor and former high school teacher of what we are known as APS, Atlanta Public School System. She holds a PhD in curriculum and instruction. You can give it up. She was excited because she is from APS. She has a master's of public health and a bachelor of science in community health as well. Additionally, she is a certified health education specialist and has earned certificates in nonprofit management, professional inclusive leadership, and wellness coaching. Dr. Hill is also the chair of the Health Committee and active member of the Education Committee of the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Metropolitan Atlanta chapter. You guys give a warm welcome to Dr. Carrie. And just to give you guys a disclaimer, she just transitioned from us a little bit earlier during the talk, so we're going to make sure that we learn from her early on, okay? Next up, I would like to introduce you to Ms. Shanae Dominique. Thank you, Shay, for being here. She is an entrepreneur, licensed realtor with New Orleans Realty and events operations leader at Hannah Brothers and Trillium Live in Atlanta. With more than 20 years in the beauty industry, she don't look it. Shanae built a successful career as a master cosmetologist, salon owner, and educator before expanding into corporate event operations, real estate, and serial entrepreneur. Serial means multiple, means lots of hats. She is the founder of DoorClam, a global beauty concierge service designed to bring luxury beauty services directly to clients, and the former owner of SD Luxury Salon and Beauty Bar. Shanae is also a published, I'm going to say that again, she is a published author of 5 Keys to Success in the Beauty Industry and has been featured in media outlets, including Voyage ATL. Known for her confidence, adaptability, and ability to transition across industries, Shanae's career reflects the power of transferable skills, resilience, and reinvention. Remember I said we're going to always continue to grow, so she's continued to evolve in her career. Her work focuses on leadership, service excellence, and helping others recognize the value of their experience as they build new opportunities. You guys give a warm welcome for Ms. Shanae. Last but certainly not least, I will have to say this is our first time doing Women's Power Summit in person. In years past, they have been virtual, so this is our first on-site or face-to-face. With that being said, in the years past, Ms. Cam Miller has been a part of this experience for us. So I'm going to call her the OG when it comes to the Women's Empowerment Summit. So I'm excited to learn more about her. Cam Miller is a technology strategist and operations leader, currently serving as program manager of technology and innovation at Invest Atlanta, where she helps drive digital transformation and innovation initiatives that support economic growth with experience spanning government, fintech, startups, SAS companies, and global organizations like Deloitte and Southwest Airlines. Kim has a reputation for turning technology challenges into scalable solutions that move organizations forward. A cybersecurity and product operations expert with an MBA in strategic operational leadership, Kim has led multi-million-dollar portfolios. I'm going to have to take a pause. I know it's a comment there, but I'm going to say Kim has led multi-million-dollar portfolios, strengthened security and compliance frameworks, and helped organizations modernize the way they operate in an increasingly digital world. But beyond her impressive technical expertise, Kim is passionate about leadership, service, and creating pathways for others. That's why we're here, guys, especially women, to thrive in technology, innovation, and business. Please join me in welcoming Kim. Ladies, I know it's kind of hard. It's really humble when you just listen to yourselves and all of the amazing things that you guys have done over the span of your career. I want you guys in the audience, along with the panelists here, to just take a quick 10-second reflection and think about a sister, a mentor, a friend, a mother, an aunt, someone in your life, or maybe externally that you cross paths with that helped you get to where you are today. Just take a quick 10-second reflection. It may be multiple people. It might be strangers that you may have met across the street, but he or she has made an impact in your life. What I would do is just open the panelists. Anyone can respond. Who was she, and how did she make impact to how you got to where you are today?
Well, hold the mics up.
So I just speak into the mic. Okay. I'll go. So for me, that would be right off the top, my mom. My mom was an entrepreneur at a very, the entrepreneurial person that I saw, as my model at a very young age. And so she was an entrepreneur for probably since I was a toddler all the way up until, I definitely left the house. I used to travel with her to her gigs that she did. She started off working with a sports agency, then ventured off and did her own thing with management. So I was kind of her grunt work girl. I was the one who was back and forth, making sure everything was right. So that was actually my early event stuff back when I was like 18, 19, right? So that's kind of who I kind of looked up to. My dad was also an entrepreneur as well. So I kind of get it from both ends. I'm kind of one of my only siblings that kind of went full force into entrepreneurship, but they were the driving force for me. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Shanae. One of the things that you may realize too is according to your environment and the culture that you were brought up in, sometimes you just take on that niche or take on a little bit of that interest that what you see, you just gravitate to it. I have a 8-year-old, and you know when people have kids, they say, "Oh, I have an 8 going on 30-year-old," or going on, because she's been here before, and I expose her to so many things, and so in her mind, I have a real estate background, I have a leadership background, I have all these things going on, and she literally says, "Okay, I'm not going to college." To a lot of people, that's like, "What? You're not going to college?" But because of her exposure, she says, "No, I'm going to open my own business. I'm going to have a hair salon." Because of what I've exposed her to, she knows her avenues. And because that environment, sometimes this starts to mold. So when you think about the people that pour into you, you realize you're pouring at such your early or young age. Thank you for that, Shanae. Any other comments as far as how you were impacted to where you are today?
Oh, me?
Just any of the panelists?
So I'll also give credit to my mother. So she actually, the first part of her career was in public health. So she worked for the Georgia public health system for almost 30 years, retired, and decided she wanted to do entrepreneurship. So I think there's something to be said about being raised by an entrepreneur, because it's extremely resilient. But yeah, and I also aligned with doing the grunt work of packing little candle orders, because that was my mom's thing at the time, and kind of just being with her in those moments and seeing her bounce back when things didn't go how she planned them, but also being proactive enough to keep trying. So I definitely would shout out my mom for all that she did for me as a kid.
Thank you for that, Cam. Give them a round of applause for that. One of the pillars that I want to talk about is health and wellness. This is going to be a heavy hitter, considering life be lifing, y'all. And when I say life be lifing, I'm not talking about the day-to-day. We are impacted by other people's decisions and actions, the world, right? And on top of that, how does that impact our health? How does that impact how we are able to continue to show up in class? How does that impact us to how we show up for our loved ones, for our families? So I have a question for Dr. Hill. With her passion in health, this may be a trigger for some of us. I use the word trigger, but when I say a soft spot when it comes to African-American women, when you hear the word strong, Cam just took a deep breath.
I think we all had a reaction to that.
Yeah. Women are often praised for being strong. I'm not going to say women. I'm going to go ahead and say Black and brown women. We are often praised for being strong. When did you realize that strength also requires some vulnerability and some self-care, Dr. Hill? Share a little bit more about that.
So, as early as adolescence, we start to put the cape on.
Put your mic.
We start to represent the characteristics of the strong Black woman, right? So, unyielding strength, prioritizing the needs of others, not really feeling as comfortable with seeking support and working on self-care. And driving here today, I was reminded of who I was when I was a professor here. So I started teaching here 4 classes, 4 preps. That means 4 different assignments that you've got to grade, 4 different, all of this, right? And I was driving, at the time where I lived was an hour without traffic. So, but we're always in traffic, right? And I'm finishing up my dissertation. I'm doing like all of these different things. And I remember just going, single mother, all of that, and not even thinking about it. It was just, I have to do. And so just performing like a robot. And on my way here, I was reminded of just how different life is now because of the choices that I've made. So I appreciate this question. And I think for me, it was actually the pandemic when I actually first started getting real sleep. And I said, wait a minute, this is what my body's supposed to feel like. I didn't realize just how sleep deprived I was until I actually started getting sleep. And I said, I need more of this, right? So for me, it was redefining success for me, redefining what my day to day is. And so when you think about the strong Black woman and our discomfort with vulnerability and asking for help because of this focus on being strong, that's what is causing mental and physical issues for us. And so it's passed on. I mean, it's not necessarily that a woman told us that this is how we're supposed to be, but we see it and we just become this. And it's at some point we've got to break the cycle. So, for me now, when I am with younger people, I'll say, gosh, I'm going to take a break. Or I'm feeling stressed. I'm going to go for a walk. So I talk about what I am going to do and I actually make that happen, right? So I think about just even how I start my day and making sure it's me. So whether it is a couple of minutes of just thinking about gratitude, maybe I don't want to even open up my eyes fully and get out of bed, but I just want to think about what I'm grateful for and think about what I want for the day. I have a wellness journal. I see you all writing down. I have a wellness journal that has been a game changer because I think about how ridiculous the to-do list. We all know how crazy the to-do list is, but these are the top 3 things that I need to do today. And I break it down also on things for me. I spend time every day reading something that is going to help me because you have to constantly feed yourself with this. So it's not just, all right, I read this affirmation, I keep it. No, every single day, give yourself something that helps you to continue to be battling, right? Ready for the battle of all the different things that goes on. So I can go on and on about this question. I appreciate you asking it, but I think it's time to break that cycle of the strong Black woman schema.
Thank you for that, Dr. Hill. So to kind of support that response, there are certain things that we can control and certain things that we cannot. For example, we need to be provided with some resources and some support to help mediate and help us to create that balance for our personal lives. What are some tips that you can offer us when it comes to, for example, anxieties or what we call student life balance or work-life balance? What does that look like, or what tips would you provide for us?
Yeah, I think there's such beauty in today being able to get information so quickly. So we can go on the internet and find out about different techniques and tips and things like that. But I think one of the things that we face now is just as quickly as we receive the information, we want it to work as quickly as well. And I think being reminded of the process, right? So again, we will self-diagnose in a heartbeat, talk about who was gaslighting and who our anxieties were, because we're getting this information. But those techniques can work. But try it and try it again and have things in your toolbox. So I know for me, it may be a walk or a run, or it may be reading, or it may be just getting some fresh air and taking breaks throughout the day, finding those things, but trying, because these techniques actually work. Movement and breathing, they actually work. So don't give up on it and say, this is not for me. Keep trying and keep just have some patience about the process.
Find your own, find what's going to work for you. Has anyone heard of Hot Girl Walk? I see a hand here. Hot Girl Walk is when you have your day-to-day, you're at work or school or class, and you just take a beat, meaning, okay, I'm gonna grab a pair, we're just gonna go outside, out in whatever, and just take this 10-minute walk to be able to reset, to release immediate dopamine, to release whatever the stresses of that day is. Find out that we find out how resourceful Google is. I just was today years old when I found out that ChatGPT was really studying me to know all the things about me. Whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI resource that we use, you'll be really pleasantly surprised, like according to your routine, according to your gender, according to your schedule, this may be a good fit for you. So trust in the process in that. Thank you, Dr. Hill.
And if I would add, and you mentioned the walk, and I know that's something that I really enjoy, but weather is not always allowing that, right? So again, having that toolbox, and I know, so gosoar.org is our website, and we do have resources. And so whether it is a text line, you can text, whether it is in the middle of the classroom or in the middle of your bed in the middle of the night, you can text for 24/7 free support, right? Finding that, again, building up your toolbox, because something may work one day or 1 week or 1 month, and then you may need to find something else that works better for you. So again, having the toolbox.
Thank you for that. So you guys start writing down what's in your toolbox, or what do we want to investigate to put into our toolbox. I heard Dr. Hill share a little bit about how every day she's reading something, whether it's an affirmation or something. Every day when you're reading something, you're also feeding yourself knowledge and education that you can pour on to someone else. Considering, I'm going to direct this question to Cam, considering Cam technology strategist, she is this world changer when it comes to companies and helping companies become so efficient from turning technology to evolving it to be an amazing technological experience. I wanted to ask you this, Cam, in reference to education. I just think you're a genius, right? So I think you're a genius. So I think you're all good by yourself right now. What in the world are you doing to continue to pour into yourself as a technology strategist to continue to pour back when it comes to education? How important is that in the evolution as you continue on?
Sure. So education is very important. And it includes a lot of the technology stuff that I do and find interesting anyway. But that's actually why I actually got my master's. Not that I couldn't be, excellent or successful without it. I find that with it, I was able to do more and think differently. So I think education is a very powerful tool. And it is like the AI, and it's just not as glamorous right now because it's not the trending topic. But they go hand in hand, because even the way you interact with your AI informs it. So if I am better, then my AI is innately better. If I approach a topic with a certain perspective, then my whatever platform of choice, whether it be ChatGPT on my phone, or if I'm building something, that will innately start from a better place than if I did not have any knowledge to jump from.
Understood. Thank you for that, Cam. I'm gonna pivot back to Dr. Hill. If you heard her when I was sharing a little bit about her background, she was a school teacher at APS. She has a bachelor's, she has a master's in public, and she has a PhD in curriculum and instruction. You notice that she continued to evolve and grow. Dr. Hill, what was your motivation, or what does that journey look like for you to keep going and evolve in your journey from? I feel like you pivoted, but at the same time of your pivot, you continue to capitalize off of the previous experience that you had.
Yeah, so this is an interesting question. So for me, I remember I had an interesting upbringing in that there was no push for this. So there was no, let me check your report card, or how, it was having to have that intrinsic motivation, right? And so for me, I just knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I needed to do well enough to go to college. And then I get to college, I knew I needed to do well enough because I wanted to go to grad school. It was just kind of that. But I realized as I would push myself more, I would do so much better in harder situations. So it was, I need to get the Hope Scholarship, right? And then it was, when the time I got to my PhD, it was, no, I need to make a 4.0 because I believe that I can do this, right? And there's something about challenging yourself and doing something that is so lofty, and when you achieve it, like no one can take that away, right? It's an amazing feel. So it's interesting that you say that, because I'm going to go back to school. My plan, I just love learning and growing. So I mentioned reading every day for personal growth, but one of the reasons I continue to be a professor part-time is because I love just being able to have access to the online resource library and just all of the research that I'm able to do. It just feels good to just expand and just see the world differently. And then I love learning from young people. So if our goal for She Soars, Go Soar is to transform youth mental health outcomes, I need to listen to those impacted. So, for example, tomorrow we're having a discussion at Emory University where we're having young people in one room, we're having faith-based leaders in another room, we're having other adults, and we want to learn, what is it that's stressing you out the most? Who are you going for when it comes to stress? And so it's exciting to just expand. So again, I think there's just something about that challenge that feels so good.
So
That
that
keeps me
is
going.
an example of what we call lifelong learning.
Absolutely.
Right? Lifelong learner. And let me just ask, what you say you're going back to school?
So I won't talk it up. I won't talk it up. But just know that I have been having some thought. I am exploring it because I feel the need to just stretch myself a little bit more.
And what growing looks like, I want to make sure too that KSU students, adults in this space, learning is different. It looks different for everybody. It may not be the four walls of a school or an entity, okay? How you decide to gravitate to receiving information for you to be successful at it, do that. Do that. Whether it's online learning, whether it's going to workshops and summits and conferences, whether it's tapping into mentorship, okay? Now, pivoting to mentorship, which is another pillar that our E100 brothers maximize their service on. I want to devote this question to Shanae. She talked about her mother earlier. She's an entrepreneur. That means you were born a hustler, you know? And I use that lightly when I say hustler, meaning you have this resilient factor that today you can have $15,000 in your bank account, and tomorrow you can have -$12.85 in there. So when it comes to mentorship, how did you mentally, consistently sustain yourself as an entrepreneur? What was that mentorship look like for you?
Okay, so I'll start at 16. Well, before I was 16. I worked in the nursery at my church. So I was good with the kids. So the parents asked me to babysit when they had things that they were doing. That's how I started making money. So I was a babysitter. I was a good babysitter. And I realized, hey, if I wash the dishes so they don't have to when they get home, they're going to pay me more. So I did that too. So that's kind of how that went. And then I love the beauty industry, right? So kind of started going to hair appointments with my mom. Well, I stood right next to her hairstylist. Like literally, if she was going to grab the hot iron, I could grab it for her and give it to her. That's how interested I was in that. She became essentially one of my first mentors. That was at 16. I then went ahead and went to cosmetology school while I was in high school. From then on, because I did so well there, I had executed there very well. I had people who wanted to get behind me. Then is when the ball started rolling, so I was able to kind of go into, some of the top salons in that city where I was from. And then when I felt like, okay, wanted to change the ball, come to a bigger pond, came to Atlanta. Me and my sons, freshly divorced. And I was just like, okay, cool. Well, I did it there. It was very easy to build that, reputation and clientele there. Okay, let me go ahead and do it here. I want to go in the best salon. I went to the best salon. I saw chandeliers everywhere. It was the vibe that I was looking for. The booth rent was $300 a week, and I had not one client. Couldn't use my parents because my parents not paying me to do their hair, right? So I have to figure this out. and just set my schedule and said, this is what I'm going to do. I did that, literally doubled, then tripled within the first month of income, right? Bam, there we go. Now I need a new, goal, right? Now I need to go ahead and make sure that I can sustain this so that now I can go ahead and create the lifestyle that I was accustomed to growing up. I came from a 2-parent household. My boys didn't have that anymore. It was just me. So I needed to make sure that happened. After that, shoot, we go to 20 years, right? I needed to make sure that they could do Boy Scouts like they wanted, that they could be basketball year round if that's what they wanted, right? So I needed to make sure that I got to go to another level. So it's time for salon ownership. So that's where we went, right? At that, now I'm in charge of and I'm managing and I'm, a whole salon full of folks, right? That's another type of income. Went from 5 figures to 6 figures, right? So here we go. Now, after that, it's 20 years in this. The boys got to see me at every game, practice. I get emotional because I just, it's just what it is. But all of that good jazz, I'm proud of that, At the end of the day, now I want to do something for me. I did that, you know what I'm saying? I wanted to use my skills. I'm like, I'm good for other things. I'm not just a beauty industry person. I've never put myself just in one space. So, how Dr. Hill and Kim were talking about, going to get masters and continue to learn. So did I. I'm a lifelong learner. I didn't get my master's, but I'll tell you what, I'll go back to school, a trade school. Trades are awesome. Went to trade school again, got my cosmetology instructor's license, right? Went on to go to trade school again, decided, you know what? I can teach. Okay, cool. But there might be some things that I want to do in the, way future. So I'm thinking 20 years down the road here, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm about to turn 40 and I know these skills go for other things. I'll go get my real estate license because I'm really into architecture. I love that. I love showing homes. I love, fixing things up, architecturally, all that good jazz. So let me go ahead and go into that. So I did well in the first year. Closed on 2 homes. Many people don't close on 1 in their first year. Closed on 2. Cool. Continuing to do that. Let me go ahead and see how far I can push these skills. I've never been corporate. I'm an entrepreneur and I come from the beauty industry. People don't look at me and say, oh, okay, with her credentials and her background, she can do that. Guess who did that? I'm going to do it because those skills transfer. And so once it's just kind of knowing that you can do it. And that was my kind of drive and learning and continued learning. It's like, all right, I'm reading these things. I'm listening to these podcasts. I'm a podcast girl. And I love the books, I love books. I love manuals. Also, mentorship. Literally, in every phase of what I did, I had a mentor in it, whether it was Vicky from the salon, my mom's hairstylist, right? Whether it was those other ladies who decided that, oh, we're going to hop behind her and sit me off to Dudley, which that's back in the day. Anybody know Dudley? That was the hair care line, that gets you right. That was my first plane ride at that. So I was very excited for that. But and fast forward to, those just right now going over into the corporate world. I knew I had the skills. I know I can do this. I know I'm a senior operations manager, but let me go ahead and see what that looks like. Hired a corporate coach. Absolutely, because I need the lingo. I need somebody to tell me what I need to say, what I can't say, how to approach, how to, because that stuff I don't know, So that's just kind of how I approach life. It's just kind of like, if I want it, if I see it, I'm going to get it or I'm going to do it. And that starts with that idea, but you can have an idea all day long. But if you don't execute that idea, you're not going to see what you can do. Go see what you can do. You just got to go do it.
Thank you, Sinead. Let's give her a round of applause for that. Like, one of the things that really stood out to me, when it comes to mentorship, it doesn't necessarily have to be a person. Mentorship could be intrinsic, internal drive, and what elements and factors that are around you that drives and mentors you along the way. Life is a coach. The elements and factors around you are a coach. So keep in mind that don't necessarily put yourself in the, I would say, in the box that it needs to be a person, a sister or a friend when it comes to mentorship. It can look so different. Let's give Dr. Hill a round of applause. Thank you so much for service and support. So just one thing that we should get out of it is that there should be a script. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. And I have to do this way. There are 3 steps to cut that out. We should not be so academic to where we miss out on life when it's right in front of us, right? So that's the mindset to have. I'm going to pivot this next question to Cam when it comes to financial empowerment. So Cam, she does some investing. She's a part of Invest Atlanta. So talking about how we prepare ourselves financially, what financial mindset shift helped you move from surviving to truly building wealth or stability? And I think this is such a pivotal question because this is a great generation or age group to know how to start to prepare themselves and what mindset to have. I'm not going to lie. When I was in college, I was like, okay, I just need to graduate and figure out how to pay student loans off. My mind was not thinking wealth, legacy, building long term. What does that mindset shift look like, and what can you give them?
Honestly, it's interesting you ask because there's so much change happening right now, especially with the college age group. Workforce is so different now. Like you said, it used to be you go to college, you get a job, that job pays you, you have a 401k, and you retire whenever you retire, and then that's it. Yeah, and that's the recipe. And being a first gen graduate, I can tell you that's what I thought I was doing. So obviously with COVID happening during my earlier career, and then also just not knowing, you try a lot of different things, which I did. It's very apparent. I don't know how I fit all those things in those years, but I did. So I guess the piece with financial literacy is get very acquainted with your financial standing. You don't have to make a lot to do a lot, but you have to get very creative with what you do with what you bring in. And you have to be very intentional about that. That means if you get a credit card that has an entry limit of about 500, maybe don't max it out, right? Maybe just spend the 30% that's recommended and then pay that off, and then do it again and then pay that off. You'll be in good shape. So I think it's a learning journey that you'll be on if you're not already on it. And it happens in stride with what else you're learning and pushing towards. So it's all incremental. Nobody has it figured out. I think I'm the youngest person up here. I am 29 for 2 more days. I am 29 for 2 more days, and I can promise you I'm still figuring it out. Don't know. Just try it, fix it, try it again, fix it again, try it. Oh, that worked. Okay, great. So yeah, that would be my
One of the things that I would ask or just see, can you provide like an example just of that, just a vulnerable moment where you're like, oh, that didn't work. Let me try it again. And because of that, you're like, let me make sure I tell my sister, my mentee, don't do what I did to ensure that she gets a good footing. So can you think of an example from an experience where you said, I shouldn't have done that?
I don't know if I have a personal one off the top of my head, but I will say at work today, I was talking to a business owner who was looking to get into salon ownership. Actually, it's funny, but she didn't plan it the way that I advised her to. So in my line of work, which I hope I get to it at some point in this interview, I work in economic development, which means I advise businesses and I help build them from the ground up to get them in a position so that they can not only grow, but be very profitable and then grow more, and then be very profitable and grow more. So that's what it is in a nutshell. So one of the clients I was working with, she scaled too fast. That happens in rural South Georgia. You call it getting too big for your britches. You spend more money than you're bringing in, and you can't recoup the loss quick enough. So basically, you tank. A comparable example is what you see in social media now with Pinky Cole and Slutty Vegan. Too much scaling too fast, bankruptcy, chaos. shenanigans, all of it. So similar situation, much smaller scale, of course. She didn't default on $1 million loan or anything, but seeing her fail and having her cry in front of me and basically fall apart about her life is over and all these other things. And I'm like, okay, you feel what you feel, because that is a level of grief you need to process. However, tomorrow you need to call me because it's time to plan something else. Simple. So I think in sisterhood, it's about accountability too. Because yeah, feel what you feel, grieve, take your lick. I get it. But there is a point where you have to get back up. And I'm gonna be the person that says, okay, it's time. Let's wrap this up.
Let's wrap this up. We can wear our emotions on our sleeves sometimes, but we got to get back to work and get back on track. And I'm just going to ping pong. We're going to just hang our hat here in the bank, in the money, financial piece. So Shanae said that her voice was a driving force during, as she continued to evolve and be driven. She's still an entrepreneur. Let me just ask, just for clarity, Shanae, do you have a 9 to 5?
Yes.
It's not 100% 9 to 5, correct?
No, it's a 9 to 5. It's a 9 to 9 sometimes. It's a 5 to 12.
So I asked that question. When you hear me ask the question 9 to 5, meaning consistent money coming in. We all have our wants and needs when it comes to what we want our finances to look like. Do you mind being transparent with us? Why did you choose that? Why did you opt to do that, considering you have been an entrepreneur from the past 20 plus years? And at this point, what is that? What brought you to that?
My answer, I don't know how it sounds to people, but it's more simple, I think, maybe than some maybe. For me, it was, I want to use a different part of my brain. I know that I have more to me than the beauty industry. I know this. I know I'm good for more than just doing hair in managing a salon. That was me. So let me go ahead and I am, what I was kind of telling Cam earlier, I'm kind of like a daredevil to myself, right? So I'm going to, I absolutely all the time, all the time, probably in things that I shouldn't, but I challenge myself continuously. And literally, for me, it was just, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I've done very well as an entrepreneur. So this corporate thing, and this is not to downplay anything, because learning is learning wherever you get it, right? But for me, I come from a non-traditional background. I tried college. I flunked out my first semester and I tried to pay one of my friends to do my math class, and it was a lot. And it wasn't for me. I had already completed one trade school, right? So as a cosmetologist, I was more interested in building my clientele. I was in a salon. I was working. That just wasn't, where I was trying to come from. Did I learn in other ways? Absolutely. Did I take business classes? All the time. Took business classes. I've studied under mentors. I've had people sponsor me. I have started cosmetic lines. I've had angel investors. I've done all that because of, pretty much, I put myself out there, show people like who I am, what I do, and people will back it because I will execute. I do what I say I'm going to do. And so that's a lot of, kind of that. So transferring over into, remain competitive. Transferring over into corporate, pretty much that was for me just to see, literally, I was sharing with Cam, over the next 5 to 10 years, because I'm new corporate. So for the next 5 to 10 years, I want to see how far I can go. So far, I have gone straight into management. So I'm okay. I'm happy with that. And I just want to see what that looks like going up from there. That's it.
Thank you for that.
That's it.
So when Shanae was talking about how she basically wants to think with her left brain, meaning challenge herself in that way. Sometimes we can get comfortable and stagnant. And that's okay when you recognize, oh, I'm comfortable, I'm stagnant, I need to be able to challenge myself and do the pivot. That happens throughout. You guys, we have seasons in our lives where you're like, at one point I was here, At another point, I was here. So while you're in school, majoring in X, right? I want you to have the mindset that it's going to evolve. I have so many people that I've met that major in psychology, and their line of work may have some alignment, but it may be something totally different. So consider that you're not going to be in this box according to your major as well. If you're going to continue to evolve. Cam, I'm going to make sure that we hear from you. You have the opportunity to mentor this particular example that you was talking about, that she did not follow your advisement, right? So just take us back just a smidget and let us know exactly, as a technology strategist, while you mentor these people to get their business to where they need to be, and then they don't follow the advisement, how does that impact you? And does that allow you to pivot in what you pour, so that way you can continue to make impact and get the results that you want?
Yeah. So in taking a step back, I will jump back to when I was at Deloitte. I probably was a lot more sensitive then, just because it was earlier in my career. And it meant a lot to me for these businesses to do what I was telling them. Now I think I'm a lot more lax, because it's like, you either going to do it or you not. And then you get the outcomes you get. So I think for me, I've since adjusted, just because I have that knowledge now. I think when I first started, I was a little bit, rocky on it, and it would hurt me when they wouldn't listen. And it would hurt me when we had to sit back down and talk about it again, and how I had to rework. But in advising businesses, you kind of just have to take it with a grain of salt, because I think with having an entrepreneurship mind, and dealing with somebody that is like that, because I'm like that too. They do what they want. Hard stop. If you ask this lady here next to me what she does, she's gonna tell you I do what I want. And that's something I have to accept as a consultant. But I also know how to work with it now, right? So in doing what you want, how can I shape what you want to do? And how can we drive a path to that? I love the emphasis that we made earlier, with things not being as linear as you think. And I will jump back even further when I was in college. And I was undeclared my first 3 years, because I had no idea. Zero idea what I wanted to do. All I knew was I had 1 year to figure it out before these people wanted their money back. And I knew my parents didn't have it, because they were in South Georgia still. And I was on my own. So I figured it out. Did pick a major by the skin of my teeth, senior year. And even in that journey, seeing what has come of that is incredible. So yeah, I think it's all flexible, and you just have to just take it in stride, just like anything else.
What is the back to you, Cam? What is the importance of listening and taking and trusting advisement from a mentor? How important is it to have a mentor when it comes to growth in a journey?
I think it's very important. And I say that because a lot of what I've done, I didn't have a mentor. So it was a lot of trying and failing and trying and failing. The benefit of having a mentor is you get to save yourself a lot of heartache. And a person that can speak directly to the path that you think you might want to be on. And it saves you a lot of time. But even in that, I think you should be very careful with your shoulds. Because, I want to have this by 25, and you look up when you're 25 and it's like, oh gosh, I should, it's a very toxic cycle you can put yourself in. So I think it's just about being resilient in that, and allowing the people that can lead you, let them be vulnerable enough to say, you know what, maybe I don't know. Or if I do know, I'm still going to listen, and then do what you want.
Thank you for that, Cam. In reference to choosing a mentor, just with a show of hands, how many of you guys have a mentor that you can say, this person is my mentor? Just with a show of hands, you have a mentor. Okay. All right. So you can have multiple mentors. Okay. And this is what I mean. According to where you are personally, professionally, you can have a mentor for this box, for school, a mentor for where you want to go. Just know this is the purpose of a mentor. The purpose of a mentor is for you to be able to grow and actually walk into what they have already experienced or know about. What I mean is they need to show you the receipts if you are going to them for X. Do you guys know what I mean when I say show you the receipts? basically, if you are selecting this person to be your mentor, for example, I want to, be a technology strategist. Let me talk to Kim because she has walked the walk. She knows she's climbed this. I can go to her because she's lived this. You're not going to go to Shanae to talk about, I want to be a technology strategist. That's just not how that works. Yes, Shanae is a buttload of fun. She's a hoot. But when you get done kikiing and chichiing, she's not going to be able to provide you the X's and the O's for technology strategists. Just because you are what I would say like-minded. You know how you have like-minded individuals that have genuine same interests as you? You gravitate to them. They become your homeboy, your homegirl. It's not going to be a homeboy, homegirl. He or she is going to hold you accountable. They're going to challenge you. They're going to frustrate you. They're going to make you be like, I quit. I don't want to. Like Kim said, if you listen to the advisement, it's going to yield the results that you want. And that's what you want to be intentional about doing when selecting mentorship. You're not going to choose someone that's going to say yes and tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you what you need to hear. Does that make sense? Then that's where growth comes. And it's going to be so uncomfortable, y'all. It's going to be so uncomfortable. But where there's uncomfort, there is growth. That's where growth lies. So how much time do we have? All right. Yeah, Shanae.
Back up for that real quick. Okay, cool. And another thing that before we started, just getting familiar with Cam again from last year, what we were discussing is the difference between mentorship and sponsorship, because a lot of people think they want mentorship because they just heard that word mentor, but what they're actually looking for is sponsorship. So and the difference, right?
So I want to make sure you guys are understanding what this means. Shanae's talking about mentorship and sponsorship. I want us to really break it down so you know your approach and know the outcome you're trying to get from that approach when you go.
Yeah. Mentorship, which I believe everybody needs. I still have mentors and I'm 40. But at the end of the day, my mentors aren't necessarily my sponsors. So when I say sponsorship, if you're looking for sponsorship, you're looking for someone to put you on. You're looking for someone to actually speak of your name in that room to that job, right? You're looking for someone to give you the funds to start your business, right? Mentorship, they're just giving you the game. They are just allowing you to see, and they're going to teach you, and they're going to tell you how you can do it. That's the difference. So if you're walking into something and you're actually walking into it like, well, I have a mentor, or I've done a lot of mentoring in this, I've been a mentee for a minute, I'm looking to be put on. I'm ready now. I am ready to do that thing. You're looking for a sponsor. And a lot of people get that mixed up. They think that their mentor is supposed to put them on. And a lot of times the mentor may have been in that field, may have done it, and they don't have those connects anymore. So then you're kind of in a rock and a hard place. You feel let down because you were expecting something that you were never going to get there. One thing I should have some water before I start speaking. One thing I would say is, as far as sponsorship goes, if that is what you're looking for, sometimes you will not know your sponsor and other times you will. There's two. So a lot of times looking for sponsorship, you are already walking. You've already started on the path. You've already started executing. So you're past idea and you're actually in it, right? A sponsor is going to come around. It could be someone you don't know and say, I see her. I want to go ahead. I see how this could be something. So let me put something behind it, right? Or you may be online and the sponsor just follows you. You don't even know them. And you're doing your thing. You're consistent with it. And then they go, oh, okay. Well, I see that she is the best hairstylist on the east side or whatever. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that she has access to these funds, or this building is available. She needs to be in this or whatnot, right? And they may contact you and be like, hey, you're that person for that, right? So there's a lot of different ways that sponsorship can happen, by somebody you don't know that they see you actually executing, and by someone who you have actually said, hey, when this comes available, when this actually comes up, put me on. But they're going to watch you And if you're not actively doing what it is you say that you do, they are probably not going to sponsor you, right? So that's what I would say.
Thank you for that, Shanae. And one of the things that we're dealing with right now in terms of sponsorship and mentorship, sometimes it could be interchangeable. It depends on the person and their influence, right? Their influence, because sometimes influence can be positive in the space, and the influence could be also the driving dollars, right? So, Kim, in this past year, over 300,000 Black women were laid off in the past year in this nation. Over 300,000 Black women were laid off. And so what has happened is we have access to all of this education. Black women, we are lifelong learners. We know how to get it. We know how to get to the education. We know how to get to the resources. We are resourceful beings. Kim, how do we get the opportunity, but we have all of this education? 300,000 women just got laid off in this last year, understanding the economic, I would say, pandemic that we're in, on top of the adversity of being a Black woman or a woman of color. How do we shift or change all this education that we get to convert it to actual real life opportunity?
So it's a hard answer, just because I think there are a multitude of people that are all trying to answer it, just because there's been so much change, like I said, in the workforce. I will say it takes two things at least. One, for the people that didn't lose their job and are in a position of influence, they should be at the door holding it. Because if I can turn around and say, hey, let me sponsor my friend who is in HR, because y'all need somebody in HR, this is a mess. Or, hey, I have a friend who's in operations. They actually the timing is perfect. Let me make an introduction. If I can send an email from my work email, which is a City of Atlanta government employee email, and that means something to somebody that reads it, I'm going to do that. So as a Black woman and a person that does have some influence, it's important to me to take that opportunity to be a sponsor in the room. Because thankfully I was not one of the 300,000, but I know what it feels like to be laid off, because I don't know if anybody remembers this, but a few years ago, there were a lot of tech layoffs, and I was a part of one of those, and it sucked. Quite frankly, it sucks to be told you don't have this anymore. You worked for it, you sacrificed for it, you put your hat in the ring, you got it, and then only for it to be one email to say, actually, psych, it's gone. So that would be number one. Number two, Black women are very resilient people. I've seen something very remarkable happen in the workforce across the board, where Black women will take what they know and reapply it in a very creative way. That means a hairstylist can be a manager. That means a CEO can get a cart and sell hot dogs during World Cup. That means you can open a business today, create an app using AI, and then sell it for $14 million without hiring a single person. So the opportunity is there. It's all about your growth mindset is what I would lean on. And I definitely think it's about how you see where you are and how to use what you already have garnered. So that's how I would answer that.
Thank you for that, Kim. Give Kim a round of applause for that. Like, one of the things too, just to add to that, is how do you convert education into opportunity? It's not in the four walls of your home looking for a handout. What that means is you're gonna have to roll up your sleeves and position yourself to get in those rooms. And when I say a room, it could be a virtual space where you're positioning yourself to network and have what we call your elevator pitch, meaning what is your value add? Your value add, meaning this is my skill set, these are the strengths, and this is how I can add value to your organization or to your business. How can we collaborate? How can I support you in this, whatever that is? So position yourself to go ahead and start to create what is your elevator pitch? What is your value add that you will be able to bring to a peer-to-peer conversation at conference or as you're walking on campus, or if you're in an environment to where you're gravitating to. So you turn the education into opportunity by managing it and not looking for it. And you have to be in the position. I'm going to go off the limbs here. I joke about this all the time. There's a lot of single women that's looking for marriage or looking for their husband, and they don't leave their house. How you gonna find your husband in your house? You know, and so we just what you do, swipe left, swipe right, hinge, all the different things. You have this virtual space, but you still gotta leave your house, right? So you have to position yourself to navigate the uncomfort, to ensure that you position yourself to transition or convert this education into opportunity. Makes sense? I want to now take the time. You guys have been very attentive, taking some notes, and I know your wheels are probably turning. We're going to actually allow the audience to ask us some questions based off of experience, what you're dealing with, what you're going through, what you're thinking about, and we're just going to pass the mic and be able to pour into you during this time. Yes. Who's going to give us a couple of seconds here?
Sure.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Olivia. I'm a sophomore accounting major here at KSU. And I try to be very proactive and go to the events and speak to everyone, but I kind of struggle when trying to gauge like how far I need to like shoot for the stars. So how do you like, what kind of mindset do you think I need to adopt to like not limit myself and like my capabilities?
What was that?
So I'm going to try to answer your question as best as possible, because I felt like there were a lot of different questions in your question, that's fine. So I'm going to try and kind of bring it together. I would say, as far as, I would say, give yourself goals. I know Dr. Hill was kind of speaking on that earlier, which she didn't know necessarily, what she wanted, she just knew she needed to get to college. She knew she needed to get the Hope Scholarship to get there. So that ministered to me, because as far as that goes, like goals, setting goals for myself. Okay, the first thing is, okay, I actually have to go to the networking event. For me, if I go with a group of girls, I am not going to network. I am going to speak to those girls. That is my comfort zone, right? So I will then get out of my comfort zone and I will go by myself, because unless I'm just going to be in the corner somewhere and just not talking, I got to talk to somebody. And 9 times out of 10, if you are that person, they'll come up to you and speak to you. So that's another thing, right? So now you're getting out there, you're having those conversations. Now from those conversations, you can kind of gauge like, okay, well, where do I want to take this? How far do I want to go with this? I've met, I don't know, what's your major? Accounting. Okay, so I've met so-and-so in accounting. I got a chance to talk to them. The accounting firm that they work for, or the corporation that they are an accountant for. Do I want to go into that, or do I want to, you know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of hone in kind of what that kind of looks like, but that's going to take you probably getting outside of just accounting in your major and getting out there and meeting other accountants for different firms that do different things. You might not want to be an accountant for give me an example.
Law firm.
A law firm. You might not want to be that. That might be very boring to you. You might want to be an accountant for
The Atlanta Dream.
the Atlanta Dream. Bam, right? Because that would be fun, right? So that kind of stuff, because you don't know how far you want to go yet in it, because you don't really know where you can go maybe yet in it. So networking, getting out and meeting those people, but leaving the girlfriends where girlfriends are and going and doing that. Yeah.
And just really quick, in your field specifically for accounting, most of your counterparts will not look like you. So I will tell you now, when I work with accountants, they don't look like us. So you have to get very uncomfortable with that. Number one. Number two, I'm going to introduce you to a term. Hopefully you know it, but it's imposter syndrome. So definitely do some inner work on that. It's something that kind of haunts you with age anyway. just because you're fighting against a lot of different things. But I would empower you to lean in a little bit, even with this, even with networking. Just be uncomfortable just for a little while, because you never know. You truly never know. And LinkedIn is very, very powerful tool. It will prevent you from having to look for a job once you get your feeding after college. But definitely lean in to what you love, and then just make it happen. And you said something that I really want to make sure I discourage with all of me. You said, how can I adjust my mindset so I can think smaller? Girl, if you don't shoot for them stars every single time, even if you don't know, just do it.
Go for it.
Just do it.
Thank you. Good evening. My question is, well, starting off with an administration that is creating more systemic racist barriers to make Black economics more poor. Also, at a large number of Black women as well, hence to over 300,000 Black women losing their jobs, and Black unemployment rate is at a national all-time high. What advice would you give a person of color who might have a victim mentality but don't have the actual resilience to go against the systemic racism and make something better of themselves?
I'm gonna speak to that.
Thank you.
You just named adversity after adversity after adversity. Based off of the adversities that we're dealing with, and I say we Black and brown people, when it comes to the opportunities. If you don't have the resilient mindset, you're not going to be sustainable. We're going to have to start getting our reps in. And when I say reps, meaning your mental reps to the position to where we're going to have to create our own lane to pivot where there's adversity, meaning create our own, make our own. And if we don't have that mindset first, it's not going to be sustainable. So I would encourage anyone that if you have that victim mentality, the woe is me, no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to save you. And when I use the term no one, I'm not talking about family, friend. No one is coming to save you. Say, woo, 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 here's $1 million, right? They're not going to do that. However, if your mindset says, okay, this is the education that I have, this is what I'm working with, this is something that no one can take from me, then I can create the plan to make it my own and execute. Shanae said earlier, your plan means absolutely poo-poo if you don't go and execute. But you have to have your mindset to know that it has to work or it has to work. Mm-hmm. There's plan A, plan B, or plan Z, but all the stuff that's in the middle, if you bump your head, get up and try again. So in the case of the resilient mindset, that's what our people are. We're resilient. And the victim mentality will really diminish our mindset to be able to grow. So the first step will be to start to get the mental reps, being around positive people, being around successful people that looks like us, that they've seen do it, getting that mentor that can hold their hand and advise and support and put them in the spaces to start to increase their confidence, increase the resilience, because my resilience level is what I call delusional. I have audacity. It's stupid. Whereas to someone that's just coming up, they're like, and I'm gonna say, okay, since I have audacity and you have victim, let me pour into you a little bit here so I can get you up, at least to be able to press play. Okay, and then I equip you. But they have to position themselves first to want it and position themselves to get out of the excuses and not having that victim mindset. So it's about mindset first.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll let them ask my questions. He's coming. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Naila. I'm a first-year student here at Kennesaw, and my major is entrepreneurship. So my question is for Miss Shanae. First, I just want to say I admire your story about entrepreneurship because I'm also in the beauty industry. I've been doing nails since I was 14 years old, so that's kind of the path I want to be on as well. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I hate speaking in front of people. I guess the first thing I want to say is the physical aspect. How did you take care of your body while also being in the beauty industry?
Thank you. Well, for me, as a cosmetologist, I'm more standing up and doing things. I know as a nail tech, you're more sitting down and doing things. But since grade school, I've been in sports all the way up. So it just physical fitness was always ingrained kind of in me. I was a track runner and, I played volleyball. So at the end of the day, I always have to be active. There's just something in me that has to be active. So all throughout my career, whether it was gym membership, whether it's I run, um, gosh, it's just I make time for that. This morning I was at the gym with another friend of mine. She's 20-year beauty industry vet as well. So I position myself around those people that we're joyous, we're about our bodies, we're going to make that happen because we understand that it's very important. So I would just say really get your crew together, whoever your village is, and make sure that they're like-minded. They want to elevate in whatever their career is too. Maybe they are still in the beauty industry with you. That will be really cool as well. And just make sure that y'all are on the same level as far as, hey, we gonna be at gym at 6 o'clock this morning. Last night we were on the phone. She has a husband and 5 kids. So, at the end of the day, you gonna be at the gym at 6? Absolutely. You gonna be there? All right. I was late, but we made it. But that type of encouragement, you're gonna need other people outside of yourself to keep you going in that, because you can, especially if the books are booking and you full, you can be behind that chair and nothing else matters. You know what I'm saying? And you just lose it all. And another thing on eating, make sure you stop for breaks, because I'm sure and if your books are full, you do not stop for breaks. You just keep going. And it's that adrenaline, especially because you love what you're doing and you're creating all day. That adrenaline will just have you completely just out of it. So you got to make sure that you nourish your body as well. So that's what I'll say to that.
My second question was, what was the hardest part about starting up salon suites and getting tenants and, getting income flowing and reaching the financial goal you set for yourself?
So I own the open concept salon, so not necessarily salon suites. And with the open concept salon, well, before I owned the open concept salon, I was in the beauty industry. I networked a lot with other hairstylists. I built somewhat of a name for myself. I was always kind to people. I always treated people right. As far as I was concerned, I'm gonna pay y'all before, because I had a commission salon. So I'm gonna pay y'all before I pay myself. And that's how I felt, because I need to keep you guys happy. And that kept them wanting to be there because they got paychecks on time. You know what I'm saying? They were able to come in. And for me, as long as we're all making money, we're keeping the salon straight, neat, and everybody's happy, everybody's having a ball. It's a party every day. You should be able to come to work and party every day. That is my philosophy, even in corporate. I'm bringing it there too, because as it should just be that you should be able to go to work and have fun every day. And that's just how I think. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to say it was easy. It was consistent. Doing the consistent things, putting the ads out, making sure that you don't just let anybody into your salon, because you want to keep the quality of salon and the services up. It doesn't matter that you just need to fill a chair and get booth rent or, whatever. I'd rather not, because it becomes a headache down the line. Also, I was a mentor at that time as well. So I had other hairstylists who they have saw me somewhere else, or, who were coming into Atlanta fresh from a different state, who was like, hey, Shanae, I'm moving there, can you help me? Can you do whatever? And, as long as you're willing to put in the work, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So that was always my mentality. They knew that I was nice, I was kind, but I don't play. And you gotta, you're very sweet and you're very, nice and soft spoken. That is cool. In business, you kind of got to develop a different mentality. You remain your kind, sweet, soft self, but in business, you got to kind of be like, you can't play with me, because if you do, that'll be the last time. And that's how you have to kind of position yourself. So.
All right. After hearing everybody's responses about for most of the things, my question could probably get the same response. Being raised by mainly women in my life, it's kind of like I asked this question to my mom too when I got older, like especially when I turned like 24, 25. But based off of your professional journey, at any point in early in your career, would you regress and do it all over again?
I would say yes, just because I don't regret it at all. My hesitancy comes from how difficult it was. And remembering in the, what you call it earlier, not triggered, you called it something else, a soft spot. That's what you said. But I mean, I was raised in a 2-parent household. My mom was the more dominant force, obviously. But as far as going back and repeating it, I would. If it meant I could be right here, absolutely. It was worth every bit of discomfort. So yeah, I wouldn't go back to change anything, just because I think things kind of work out the way they're supposed to. So as long as you keep that mindset too, you should be good. You wouldn't have to go back to do anything again.
I'm a believer in that too, because I would do it all over again. We go through what we go through, not for us, but for other people. So we'll be able to tell the story and make impact for others based off of our journey. So I look at it from the perspective of, regardless of, I never have regrets. I look at it as learning lessons. Those are learning lessons for me to apply when the next time this test comes. I got muscle memory. I remember this time, last time this happened, so I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this now. I don't have regrets because it was supposed to happen. That's how I learned and grew. So if I was to do it all over again, heck yeah, absolutely.
And I'll finish that one up. Absolutely. Because everything I did, I chose to do. Whether it worked out or not, I chose it. So I wasn't forced into anything. I chose to do that. So things didn't work out sometimes. Things did work out sometimes. I couldn't take none of that back. You know what I'm saying? Even in my personal life, with my sons, I chose to have kids. Unfortunately, that didn't work out with their dad, but I don't take that back because I actually chose to have it. You know what I'm saying? So everything, I think, once what you're choosing, then absolutely, I can't say I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have the same impact. I can see.
Come on, Choice.
We have time for one more question.
I can just ask her afterwards. It's fine.
Okay, so I think this question is mainly for Cam. Earlier, you mentioned that you went 3 years undeclared. Okay, in college. Okay, so I feel like that's like a topic that most people in college go through. I myself know personally I'm going through that currently. Oh, I didn't even introduce myself. My name is Renencia Odom. I'm a 2nd-year public health student interested in going into pre-dentistry. I already know what I'm interested in, but I don't really necessarily know what I should major in. I've talked to a couple people about which path I should go, but I guess it's up for me to navigate. So I guess my question to you is how did you deal with that while being in college, still trying to figure out yourself and stuff? How did you navigate that?
Well, first off, what a question to end on. So for me, obviously, spoiler alert, I did choose a major. I chose political science with a minor in urban development, and I'm also bilingual, so Spanish was a toss-in that I just kind of did. But to get to that point, I had to really lean on what my purpose was. And a lot of times it's hard to find a major that you feel alignment with 100% of the time. But who you are intrinsically as a person will inform everything you choose after that point. So for me, I chose political science not because I wanted to be political or a voted person, mayor, all that. I'm an introvert. Spoiler alert again. I'm not that's not my call. I chose what I chose because I love people, I love systems, and I like to build things. And somehow, by the grace of God, I chose a major that encompassed all those things. And that's one reason why I didn't go to grad school immediately after finishing undergrad, because I'm like, I need to work, because obviously I have no idea. And that's what I felt. When you graduate, you're kind of thrown out into the wild. You're told to go for what you know, but you don't know anything. So you're just running. But yeah, and then once I figured out, okay, I like people, I like tech, I like, building things, I like companies. I said, all right, I'm gonna get my MBA. Bet. Did that because I chose it. And now being post at that experience, it's like, okay, now what I want to do? What do I want to choose now? So that's kind of, I hope that answers your question. And I think if you lean into your purpose, you'll see some alignment of why you even started with dentistry. You may like smiles. I don't know. Hey, more power. It's not going to be replaced by AI. I can tell you that. So yeah, I think just leaning into your purpose and allowing that to drive whatever you go toward. But even if you decide to pivot later, that's not going to be a failure. So just keep that in mind.
Give yourselves a hand for attendance today. This has been a very enlightening conversation. This is some things that I want you to take from today in your presence, in your participation. Some of us took notes, we took mental notes, we reflected. I'm going to repeat what Shanae said again. Whatever you wrote down, whatever you reflected on, whatever you asked, it means absolutely you fill in the blank if you don't go and use it, implement it, and execute it. I want you to just take about 10 seconds now. I want you to write this down in your voice note, audio note, your phone. Get your phones out, and I want you to tell yourself what's going to be the first action item when you leave this Women's Empowerment Summit. What is the next thing that you're going to do that you took away from today? What are you going to execute? What are you going to implement with you? That's how we continue to build and grow from attending these events. These events are a waste of time, money, energy, gas, if you don't have anything to speak for after the event. The real stuff happens post-event. Like, we excited, we inspired, we're like, yeah, rah, go women, yes. And then what happens tomorrow when you go to class? Do not allow it to go dead. That's the messaging there. I want to thank our featured panelists for this evening, Dr. Carrie Hill, Miss Shanae Dominique, and Cam Miller. And I was your host. I'm Takita Trene. What I would advise is post-event, come up to us so you can figure out how to connect with us if you so choose. For us to be a mentor or sponsor, you never know. Do not be afraid to ask. Do not have that imposter syndrome. We want to be able to pour back into you because that's what E100 North Metro Atlanta is all about. Till the next time, you guys, take care.